I'm here right now in this next segment. We got a couple of great guests here, but I want to remind you, wear your poppy, because it is that time.
Yes,
and you should, because without the people who represent what the poppy represents, we would not be here today.
That's right.
You know, so I want to welcome Ghislain Lapierre and Jim LeBlanc to the show as part of the Poppy campaign. So thanks to both of you for coming here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And we're very, very thrilled to have you guys here. So, Ghislain, maybe we'll start with you. What does the Poppy campaign mean to you? Why did you start getting involved?
Well, it's been now 5 years here in Moncton, and I'm a veteran. Mm-hmm. I served 37 years in the RCMP, and I wanted to get involved the moment that we got transferred here in Moncton. And for the last 5 years, we've been, now I'm first vice president at the Legion, Moncton Branch 6, and I'm also the Poppy chairman for Moncton. So it's a big undertaking.
Busy guy.
It's going very well.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. And Jim LeBlanc, the campaign coordinator, what's your story?
I got involved because, first of all, my father was in the Korean War, but I knew we needed a transition for the next generation to step up. Mm-hmm. And I actually went to a store and I saw empty tables. And I thought, well, this is wrong. So since then I got involved in it. So I think it's my 4th year. Mm-hmm. And it's really working. Like, we're getting people, next generation stepping up, and we need them.
No, for sure. And well, a little bit about my own story as well. My grandfather and great-grandfather, my great-grandfather served in World War I, and my grandfather served in World War II in Korea. And my grandfather, both my grandparents, and my grandmother was involved in the forces as well on my dad's side. And then my mom's side, both of my sets of grandparents are from Holland, and they were part of occupied Nazi Germany from 1939 to 1945. My grandfather's formative years were, I believe he was 9 to the age of 15 or 16 during the occupation, so going to school and living in that environment. So I kind of understand both sides of it, and that's why it's so important for me to wear the poppy. You know, and you know, my grandparents are very close to Flanders, actually, notably. So that's even more important to wear the poppy. And I encourage you guys to wear your poppy, because it is very, very important.
Yes.
You know. So what does this undertaking take? Because this is an every year thing. So what does it take?
Always on the last Friday in October. Like this year, it starts on the 27th of October, and it runs right up until November the 10th. And on November the 11th is the big ceremony, the parade, at the Coliseum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the 11 o'clock.
That 11 o'clock on the 11th.
So come on out.
To open the public, yes.
Yeah, so be sure to check it out. So I know you mentioned before we went on, there's close to 600 volunteers.
Well,
yeah, it takes about 600 shifts of 4 hours. Mm-hmm. We have 3 different time frames in the day, and it's more than just having people at the tables. It's important for people to bring the pictures, the medals, what have you at the tables. That's as important as the money. But everything leads to November 11th. But the volunteers, we encourage them not just to be at the tables, but to bring any pictures or anything else to keep the tradition going. And remember, because we're losing a lot of veterans pretty quickly, so it's the next generation. We really have to step up.
It is the passage of time. There's nothing we can do about it, unfortunately. You know, we'd love to keep them all here if we could, because you know, the stories are incredible.
Incredible.
But you know, now it is, as Jim, you mentioned, it is up to us to share those stories.
Yes.
You know, and make sure that they get out and they and they push forward. So where can people get their poppies? If someone's at home and they don't have one yet, where can they get them?
Well, they're all over in Moncton. Sobeys, Superstore, liquor store, Costco, Champlain Mall, and all businesses. And then we've got great cooperation from the businesses, and also the public is really generous. It was a very good success last year, and this year I think it'll even better. But we're hoping every year, but it's always good. The people
and
are
also at small retail stores, like convenience stores, there are boxes there at all the corner stores.
You can see something, it'll look something like this. If we can get the camera here on camera too, right here. It looks something like this when you come in, and you can make a donation as well when you pick up your poppy. Now we'll talk about that as well. Is where does that money go? Because there are donations. They're not compulsory, but they're definitely encouraged. So where does the money go?
The first thing is that we do with the money is, of course, we have a Veterans Health Center right across the Legion, and we have 40 vets there. 2 weeks ago, we delivered a check for $16,500 That's for equipment to make their life better, and for different things, for equipment that they need. That comes out of the Poppy Fund. Also, we this year we have given 20 bursaries of $1,250 each. So that's for a total of $25,000. We also have literacy and poster contests. This is another approximately $2,800. And this year we're very fortunate. We got a young lady, Megan. She's with one of the schools here in Moncton. She won the first prize in the national level. So it was really good for it. And there's some of the posters are excellent. They're really good. Also, out of the Poppy Fund, we have helped so far 19 homeless vets. These are for medications, lodging, food. They're in need, and those are actually vets that we help. And that's pretty well hit all.
But it's worth noting that of all of what you've said, that is local. It's all local stuff.
The money stays here in Moncton, and it doesn't go to the Legion. There's nothing that goes to the Legion. It goes to the veterans, their dependents, and grandchildren, and in need. Yep.
Yeah. So how important is that for the community that there is something like this, where for veterans, such as yourself, that there is a little bit of extra coming in through the Poppy Fund that could help out?
Oh, definitely, because not only the veterans themselves and some of the modern veterans that are coming out, they're in need, and the homeless vets, and also the children and the grandchildren of the veterans. So through bursaries and then literacy poster contests and all that, so we just, we do it.
And make sure it all happens for sure.
Oh yeah.
Now, Jim, I'll go to you for this next one. What do you see as the future of the Poppy campaign as we go through the years? What do you see?
We don't have, like I said, we don't have the veterans, and the numbers when the First World War, Second World War, the numbers were great. Now we don't have numbers to replace. It's going to have to be everybody, not just people who have family members or whatever in the military, and to step up and keep this going. We analyze it every year. If there's anything we could do better, or maybe add certain programs to it to get extra dollars in, we look at that every year. But right now, it's just to make sure we don't go backwards on this and we keep the tradition going. And I can't emphasize enough the pictures that you bring in. It's not dollars. It leads to November 11th. And bring those pictures in. If you can't make it to a table, bring it to the Legion. We'll get it on a table and pick it out after. Because we do have to get that. That feeling is as important as the money. That's very important to keep that going.
No, for sure. And not only that, I mean, I know in my own personal experience, I didn't know my grandfather on my dad's side that well, the one that did serve in Korea in World War II, because he passed away when I was 1. But I remember talking to my grandfather, in the time that he was alive, and just hearing the stories about the times that were then. So if you know a veteran, just talk to them.
Oh yeah.
Get to know the stories, because the stories are part of what needs to be passed on. Is what did happen. You got to know that history in order to see where we're going. And some of those stories are just absolutely fascinating to me.
I had one story at the Legion. The gentleman told me that when he was in the trenches, he actually talked to the moon, because he knew that the moon was going to make it home that same night. And there was stories like that you got to get these stories. They're incredible people.
And if there's a way you can record them or put them down somewhere, that's even better. Just to make sure. And while we're talking veterans, there's a lot of World War I, World War II in Korea, but I mean, there's Vietnam, there's the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, there's Kuwait, and there's Cyprus, and there's the peacekeepers, and there's the active military, and there's so many different people that this still encapsulates. It's not just the wars that we romanticize, but everything else.
Right. Yeah.
So there's some very good potential there as well.
Well, I got friends that were in the Afghan war, and he tells stories like walking down the street and something hits you and you don't know if it's a rock, you don't know if it's a grenade, and they go through a lot, and they come back, and some of them they need not just support, but you need to talk to them and listen to them, because some of them just want to be heard to let it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So be sure to check it out. Like I said, grab your Poppy. If you do not have one yet, you will see these right here. And this right here, you can make your donation, you can pick up your poppy and wear it and help support and remember as we come up to Remembrance Day. It is November the 11th, 11 a.m. at the Moncton Coliseum.
Yep.
That is free of charge. Be sure to check it out. That will have vets, the military, the cadets. They will all be there. And be sure to check that out in honor. Ghislain, Lapierre, and Jim LeBlanc, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, it was a ton of excellent material passed there. And be sure to check it out and wear your poppy.